Warning, this video contains strong language. Viewer discretion is advised. Hello, my Hooked honeys, and welcome back to Hooked. If you're new here, my name is Leanne, and Hooked is basically where we talk about some true crime stories and do some crochet projects together. So on today's episode, we're just going to keep it simple. I am going to make a bunch of granny squares out of this with the different kinds of blues. It's giving like different jean. I have a vision, okay? So you just gotta stick with it. I have a vision. You'll see. So I'm using a 5.5 millimeter hook, and I'm doing, what is this? 1, 2, 3, 4 rows, I guess, of the granny square stitch. So just to refresh memories, we're just gonna go ahead and quickly go through it real quick, right? So to make sure that I have the same amount of granny squares for each color, I am pulling from both sides of the yarn. So I'm pulling from the middle of the yarn and also the outside of the yarn, which can be kind of difficult because it definitely will get tangled if you're not careful. Which is pretty much what happened to me just now. So in today's episode, the case we will be talking about is the case of Alianna Defreeze, who was a Cleveland, Ohio 7th grader that was just on her way to school. Honestly, this one, I don't know why I keep coming across these ones, but y'all know I gotta talk about it. Y'all know how I feel about these babies. So let's go ahead, get our crochet candle lit so we can go ahead and get into this case. Alianna was a 7th grader at E-Prep and Valley Prep Woodland Hills who had a development disability. She would take the RTA bus to school, which is something in her mom and her grandma wasn't really too okay with, but because one of the stops were right in front of a police station, it kind of eased their minds a little bit. So the RTA bus is basically like public transportation, something like the Coda bus here in Columbus. Alianna was also the granddaughter of Donald Defreeze, who was the founder and leader of a Siboney's Liberation Army. So they were a terrorist organization that gained notoriety for kidnapping Patty Hearst. On January 26, 2017, Alianna had just got off the bus at her stop, and as she was walking, she was stopped by Christopher Whitaker. So who cares? Whatever, Christopher. According to a witness, Christopher grabbed her. So this witness claims that he didn't say anything or didn't contact police because he was unaware of the relationship between Christopher and Alianna, sorry. And I really, like, you see this grown man, right, approach this little girl, and apparently she was taken aback, like she didn't know this man. She definitely wasn't really engaging, like she was more so just trying to get out the way, but he kind of forces her to walk with him, and you didn't think anything was wrong with that because you were unaware of their relationship. Mind you, this is a grown man and a little girl. She's in 7th grade, like what, 14? That doesn't, whatever, but whatever. Nope. Anyways, so surveillance shows a video of Christopher leading Alianna through a field to Fuller Avenue, right? This man took her to an abandoned house where he raped her. He also used a drill, a Phillips head screwdriver, a nut driver, a box cutter, and a hammer to stab and beat her to death. This little baby, like she's a baby. She's a baby. She's in freaking middle school. What are you doing, dude? So, of course, she died because of her stab wounds and blunt force trauma, which were very, very severe. Of course, because look at what he used. So, Christopher claimed to be high on cocaine and blacked out during the crime. So, get this, y'all. Being high on cocaine and blacking out after just brutally murdering a young girl, he goes and he assists a pastor at a missionary Baptist church to unload food pantry from a truck, and the pastor described his demeanor as calm. So who is Christopher, right? Let's get into who he is. So he was born in 1973 in Fayetteville, Tennessee. And listen, my hood tunnies, he had a criminal record, okay? So I'm not going to get into like everything that was on his record, but we're just going to talk about one specific situation, right? So on April 8th, 2005, he committed sexual battery against a woman that he knew. He came out of the bathroom with a pair of scissors and began choking her. He proceeded to stab her in the neck. She passed out, woke up with she woke up on the floor, of course, with neck pain. Her pants and underwear were removed. And of course, they did an evaluation and it was determined that she had been sexually assaulted. So Christopher was sentenced to 4 years in prison for third degree felony sexual battery. He was sentenced to 4 years in prison because of this crime, which is wild to me because I feel like attempted murder should have been a part of that charge. He stabbed her in the neck with scissors. Like, there's no way that in that moment, him stabbing her in the neck with scissors, that he was wanting her to be alive. Like, how is that not a part of, how did he only get 4 years? Like, that's whatever. So he was released in 2009 and was registered as a sex offender. But clearly, this didn't stop this man from being on his bullshit, because he was out and back on his bullshit. So, of course, Alianna's mama became very concerned around 4 p.m. when Alianna hadn't returned home from school. So she called the E-Prep and was informed that her daughter never showed up to school or never arrived. Well, then she was reported missing, which kind of led to a citywide search. So on January 29th, Alianna's body was found in the house where Christopher had murdered her by 3 Cleveland police officers. The officers entered the house after noticing that the back door was open and found a trail of blood leading to the dining room. Crumbled up in a corner and sitting in a pile of blood was Alianna's body. Unfortunately, he just left her like that. She was naked except for her socks, and she had like severe wounds to her head. So along with her clothing, police also found her backpack, and they found a drill, a box cutter, a screwdriver, and a hammer, which all had blood on them. This man left everything that he used to take this poor girl's life, left it there. So during the investigation and stuff, they found the surveillance videos from where she was on the bus and different surveillance videos of the bus stop. They were in front of a church. All of this happened in surveillance videos or whatever. So police interrogated Christopher, and he ain't know what to say. Honestly, he changed his story a bunch of times, denying any involvement in the murder, and then admitting that he did something, but still denying the responsibility of the situation, like of her death, blaming his actions on crack. Christopher said that he had blacked out after punching Alianna and that he would have not committed the crime if he were sober. Would you punch her for? Would you approach her for? You don't know her. So like, this all could have been avoided if you just went about your day and didn't bother her. You did not know this little girl. What you did was you stalked her and you figured out her little routine and how she got to school, when she would get to school, when she would be getting back from school. No, you stalked her for days, and then you found the opportunity to capture this little baby. Shut up. I hate people. Anyways, this man had the nerve to say, people are gonna look at me like a monster. I am not a monster. You are a monster. You are a fucking monster, sir. Yes, you are. Yes, you are. He also added, I was just an addict who made a mistake that shouldn't have happened. Christopher told investigators that he did not want his face in the news. Sir, you just raped and killed a 7th grader. You snatched her on her way to school and you raped and killed her. What? Fuck you. I hate people. Like, who do you... People literally will blame anything on drugs or alcohol. Oh, I didn't mean it. I would have never done something like this if I wasn't high or if I wasn't drunk. What? Like, if that's the case, you don't need to be doing that at all. If you cannot control yourself, you don't need to be doing that. So, on February 23rd, the jury recommended that Christopher be put to death, and his execution was set for July of 2026. He will be serving his time until then at the Chillicothe Correctional Institution here in Ohio. Well, my hooks honeys, that was the case of Alianna Defreeze, whose life was taken from her way too soon. She was such a little beautiful little soul. Like, that, it was so unfortunate what happened to her, and I feel for her mother and her family. And baby, this like I said, this is one of them ones. Next week we're gonna get away from kids. I don't know why I keep finding all these cases about kids, but we're gonna take a step away from children, because I don't know how much more I can take of this. So yeah, but if you guys do want to see what we're gonna do with these granny squares, it's gonna be a process because I gotta make a bunch of them, and it's not gonna be a blanket. So yeah, if you want to see what we're doing with the granny squares, make sure you follow me on Instagram at HookedWTrueCrime, and make sure you subscribe because I'm here for you every Wednesday. Love y'all. Bye.